Alright, what is up, YouTube's Big Dubs? We're back. Trying to finish up this custom model in this one. Maybe we can get it in the game, see how it looks. So, uh, last time we covered over UV mapping, and we exported the pre-texture file. So, let's finish up by doing the scaling of this and export the model, and then we'll work on the textures by the editor. And seeing what they look like in the editor. Okay. So to do scale, usually I import another model into the game or into 3ds. So let me go find a model for us real quick. Oh, what is close to this? Yeah, my tent doesn't work. I'm hoping that is a 3ds file, and this is. I'm hoping this will work. No, this is not what I want. Sorry, y'all. I gotta find a model that's usable. Because my dock is too big. Cabin's huge, dude. So I always have a trouble with signs. Okay, cool. Here we go. Let's use my garage sign. Sure. Okay. Yeah. See here. This is a good reference. This is going to be perfect. So. You can tell that these two boxes are massive compared to this. So like I set it to meters, and I didn't make very big boxes. They were like point something. So the game is like tiny compared to real life size, by the way. And obviously you can see that this is a more complex model. I have beams. I have uh, box one is like the box. Box 2, Box 3, the CDT, the crest, the dividers, and the stubs. And this is a pretty simple model that I just modeled out of a bunch of boxes, honestly, and I come up with this model. See, these are little boxes. These are cubes. This is a cylinder, you know. Just making a little sign. These are how I make like signs and stuff like that, and then I texture them. But this is how I check the size of stuff is this way. And then what I do to resize something is I use this little size tool up here. By the way, this is move, rotate, size, and mirror, align. These are some of the cool tools that I use. Render production. If you have this set up, this is what the box looks like in the game, pretty much. So anyway, but I'm going to size these boxes way, 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 way down. Basically, they need to be tiny. I need to line it. That's fine. Let's not do that. It's going to jack up the alignment of them. So come over here. So they're still kind of big. Those are pretty dang big boxes still. So that's more of realisticness right there. Okay. Maybe, actually, no, sorry. Got a little carried away, guys. right there. Sizing is kind of hard to figure out, and these probably could be a little bit bigger. Okay, but I don't need all this junk now. Yeah, get rid of all that. And then once again, like I said, you're going to reset the X form on these. I'm going to do it a couple of times, just for practice. That's all. That's all. Okay. Next thing you'll want to do is you'll want to center these bad boys. So, move 0, 0, 0. Right. And always raise mine above the ground. Just a little bit. Maybe not that much. But something like right above there. Okay. And this one, I'll actually just align that one to that one. Okay. And then I'll just slide it out. So, okay. And once again, reset the form. Okay. Alright. We got size. We got our names. We got our pictures, our texture exported. Our pre-texture exported. We got our UV mapping working. Basically, this model is ready to export, I feel like. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Oh yeah, I did. I totally missed an important step. CDTs. Everything needs a CDT. It needs a CDT for a collision model to understand that when the bumper touches the surface of this, what is it going to do? Is it going to dip into it? Is it going to not dip into it? You know, is it a square box? Is it a round box? Like, CDT matters, basically. Typically, I would want to do one CDT for these two items, okay? Even though they're two separate items, you can have one CDT, okay? And to do that, I will show you how to do that on these. This is not an ideal way to build a CDT, but for this, since it's so low poly, and I didn't explain this to y'all, polygons are the number of faces that each one of these objects have. And if I convert these into an editable poly, we can check that, or actually turn into a poly. Oh, collapse. Two. So, whatever. Don't want to do it that way. Editable poly. Alright. Editable poly. Alright, and I want to check the polys. You click Element, and you hit Control A, and it's going to tell me the polygon count right there. Okay. The maximum amount of polygons a single part can have, like this single box, can be 20,000 polygons. This box can be 20,000 polygons. Okay. If these were a single box, this would be 24 polygons. Okay, but they're not, because I'm doing two separate boxes because I want to show y'all what two separate materials or two separate objects look like in the editor. I could attach this box into this box, and it would be a single box, and it would have 24 polygons, and it would use the same texture, but we're not doing that. Okay, I'm building you two objects so you can see what two parts look like, and all the setup on it. So, anyway, you don't want over 20,000 polygons per part. And you don't want a CDT with more than 2,000 polygons. It may be more. I think it's I think you can have up to 10,000, but I try to keep them in like low range, 2,000, 1,000, somewhere in there. I'm not 100% sure on the total of count of it, but the lower the CDT, the better. So try to make your CDTs basic, but yet still like mimic the object. Because if I put a round circle in this box as a CDT, my bumpers are going to go through the box and into the circle, into the box until it hits the circle, and then it'll go up over the circle. Okay? So if your tire comes in contact with this box, then it will go until it hits that circle. So what you'll have is you'll have your tire going through your model. So, or it'll hover, like if you get it too big, it'll hover above the model or like hover over a rock. This is more pertaining to like when you're building like a rock model or something like that. So be careful with your CDTs, right? So, and your polygon count, all right? So let's convert these back to a collapse all and editable mesh and editable mesh. All right, and let's reset the X form because I did a bunch of stuff to them just now. Okay, it's all set. All right, we need to make a CDT now. What I typically do is I'm going to clone these into a box, and I'm going to call the first one CDT. You're going to want to do copy. Oh wait, cancel. You want to first dematerial this stuff, first of all. Sorry, I had to think about that. I wouldn't use any of the material that you got here. I'd set it back to default. So in Mudrunner, this is not as important, but in SnowRunner, this is not something that you would want to do. You'd want to you'd do more in SnowRunner. The materials matter more. Mudrunner doesn't care about this default material, so this box is fine. So you can assign this default material to any object that's in the box. You don't want to assign a material to a CDT, so that's what I use when I was like, you might as well take off the material because I'm about to clone these things to make a CDT. And I'm going to hit clone. Clone is just copying these two objects. I'll call it CDT. Okay, and what that's done is that's made this box and this new box. I turn these other two off, I get those two boxes. Alright. What I want to do is I want to attach this other box to make it a single box. Okay, so now my CDT can cover both these boxes. If I unhide all my other objects and I hide my CDT, I'll see that I have these two boxes. I'll unhide again. So now I got a CDT. My CDT is covering these two boxes. Okay, so if you run into this box, you're going to be meeting the edge of this box. If you run into this box, you're going to be meeting the edge of this box. Okay, you want your CDT to cover your whole object. It needs to be a single CDT. So the object could have, you could have done like a big square that covers both of these squares, but then you wouldn't be able to like drive up on these as a stair step. Okay, you would just be able to hit the box over here and not have it, and you never be able to drive up over this. Okay, so like I said, if you need two objects and like you need a gap in between here, you need to design a CDT that covers the gap and attach it into a single part. Okay, so basically this model is ready to export now into a game format. All right. In order to do that, you're going to have to hopefully have the axe exporter. You can go and find it. .x3ds. Think that'll get it for you? Yeah. No. What is this thing called? Sorry. I should have had this. Yes, Max. There's what you're looking for. This guy, Alan, Director X Exporter, you're going to need to go grab this. You're going to need to go to download whatever version of Max you have. It goes all the way back to 2009. You download the zip files. Just download them. Open it up. You need to copy this DLL file into your... I store mine in here. My Max in here because I don't like it in my game, in my C folder. Yours will be in C folder, C Autodesk. Then your Autodesk will look like this, basically. Yeah, it'll have this folder, but you'll go in there inside your 3ds Max, and then you will go to plugins. And you will see that I have this one right here, and you'll just paste that in there, and that will allow you to export this file. So export, and I need to export my .x file, and that is what Mudrunner reads for the 3D format. So, and we need to find our models folder, our new mod, meshes. Okay, this is under the meshes folder, and models, and you're going to name your model. So I'm going to name it 01. Always do 01 underscore. That'll put it at the top of the list like I was talking about in my other video. And we're going to do train underscore box underscore DBZ, because that's my mod. Alright. We're going to hit save. It's going to give you some options. If I was doing a truck, I would obviously pick a couple of more things. But you'll want to uncheck textures, you'll want to uncheck bone, material, skin, animation, you'll want to uncheck those all. You only want to export mesh, the normal, text chords, and that's about it. That's the only thing you need to export out of there. Okay? And you hit X. Okay, sorry. And so make sure that went out there. So Mudrunner mods, models. Sorry. New mod, meshes, models. Bam. There it is. Okay. Okay. So we got that done. Next thing I like to do is let's go ahead and texture this guy real quick. Okay. To texture this guy, I'm going to literally go here and Mudrunner mods, models, new mod, my texture. I'm going to go find it in that folder. Okay. And I'm going to open that bad boy up in Photoshop. Whatever texture editor you got. Okay. What you get is In Photoshop, as you get a lock, hope you know Photoshop a little bit too. I usually unlock it so I can work on it. Okay. And quick and simplest way is to do this. There's a couple of different ways. Is I could do magic wand, and I could highlight this bad boy, and I could delete this, and I could lay a texture underneath here. You know, if I had multiple parts too, you'd want to get more in depth of like putting your texture on each one of those parts. So you know, sometimes a truck can get a little more complicated, or like a dash or something like that. You'll have like tons of parts on this little sheet right here that you're gonna have to fill in with like certain textures. Okay. But for this purpose, it's pretty simplistic. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay a picture. That picture that we saved. I'm just gonna navigate back to it. This is why I use Photoshop, because I can drag stuff into it all the time. Models, textures. There's my box. I'm just going to literally drag that box in. I'm going to make sure that it fits over top of my image. Okay. Alright. And I'm going to go ahead and in 3D or in Photoshop, you have to rasterize a layer usually to work on it whenever you copy in something. That's just how it is. I'm not going to go into a bunch of depth, but I mean, I could sit here and like clean this up with like spot heal, like clean up these nasty little spots here, because I don't like them. Yeah, if I had some bad like areas here. Some of this picture's pixelated. I'd obviously fix the pixelation in it if I could. So here's pixelated. You can do spot healing, patch healing tool. Let's see, do a section like that. Bam. So kind of fix that. This little pixelation. Do that. That. Do that. Same thing. Kind of blend it. But anyway, you can do a merge down. And then what I do is I just do a file, save as. Targa is the format that we use. Okay. Cool thing about Photoshop is it usually remembers where you're working at. So it knows that I'm here. And if I had this in preview mode, maybe short. Oh, hell. It doesn't show you, but it would show that blank image basically. But I'm about to override it, 16-bit. That's what the game likes, a little bit better. Okay, I'm done with Photoshop. All right, I can go back, I can go to models, new mod, textures, models, and to show this, whatever. But if I double click on it, I guarantee it loads up. Just double checking my texture. Yeah, see, cool. All right. Now we got a texture. This thing is missing some files. At this point, it's ready to basically for me to drop in the editor to kind of test it. And I'm done with this 3DS as well. Maybe if I need to make some modifications to it. Oh, by the way, also before you do this, Export this model into a FBX format or a 3DS format as well somewhere. Because what I found out is new folder. Let's just make a new folder in there and call it 3. I always make this new folder called 3DS, and let's just call this train underscore box. Okay, and what that does is it allows me to come back and work on this model later on without having to import a .x, because there's not a way to import .x files. Once you export it out, it's done. It's over. So those files are ready to drop in the editor. To drop those files in the editor, what I do is I go back to that new mod folder and I go to meshes, okay, models. I get to that model and I copy it, okay, common, an editor, media. Oh, by the way, this is back in my Mudrunner Editor folder. Like I said, I pinned that common folder because you need to get into the editor quite often. Media, and if you don't have a meshes folder here, you're going to need to create that meshes folder, okay? Because you haven't created in your other file structure, and if you copy everything over, it's not going to be there. So it'll copy over some of it, but it's not all going to be there, okay? So I always go ahead and I'll paste mine in here, okay? And I'm going to go back to that same folder, models, new mod, and texture, models, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my texture folder, copy it, okay? Back to Mudrunner Editor, media, textures, models. Mine's got a boatload in it. Disregard all that. You won't have anything in there. You're going to paste in your first texture. Okay? So, there's all the files you need in the editor so far to get your model in there. Okay? It's not going to load up all the way because it doesn't have the XML file in here, because every single one of these has an XML file, but that is going to be brought in by the editor itself. Okay? So you'll see 01 training box for us, and then there's no XML. So I'm going to pause the video right here. Actually, yeah, we're going to go ahead and stop the video here, and we're going to go and leave off right where I left off from here, and we're going to get this into the editor, and we're going to finish making all the files, and we'll have a complete model basically for the editor, and we'll drop it into our map, and we will copy the files into our test map that I made earlier, and we will see what it looks like in game. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off here, and we'll pick up where I left off.